Obviously, the song that I sung obviously would have been his last scene dying words before he actually, those would actually be what the words he would say technically in passing. He would technically say would inform to Razikal that he loved her, and also the sword would technically be inscribed with "Send him to the surface," and his final words, his final decision for the people of Fortuna. Basically, and also for his helmet to be sent to House Parvis, because originally Dorian was going to join us, but we decided to leave him out of it, obviously, just to cut time, considering that we've been at this for about 7 hours.
Yeah, explain again for the viewers what the relationship is between Dorian and the Black King.
Obviously, if you guys never paid attention to 2 years ago, originally I did drop the bombshell that apparently his name was Adrian Harvest, so he's actually an ancestor to Dorian. Obviously, hence why Dorian actually does have major powers, because obviously he does have magical blood within him. Of course, originally, out of basically a lot of children, Adrian didn't have the mage-like powers, unlike his rest of his family members. So basically, he was sent to be like a Templar, like warrior bodyguard, for the architect, like when he was human.
Gotta say, love the insert of "We all live together" from Warframe.
I think there was a lot of inserts you probably never realized.
I probably didn't get any of them, but I do know that one.
Yeah.
Black King does a lot of damage against his favorite enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Especially with that double damage on everything.
Oh yeah, the double damage, real nice. I like the dispel.
It probably would have taken a lot longer if I wasn't just stacking the vulnerabilities on both of them.
Yeah. With that quadruple on the dragon, I think that really, really helped us.
It's that's a tough one. Sidereal is.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight 4 of them.
Now,
I think we just turn around and take a nap.
Okay, we were like the thing about this particular fight is we also had a Magister who was very special with blood slaving, and he managed to blood slave like 3-4 people at the same time.
Yeah.
By himself. So yeah, so that's definitely 4 Magisters. They probably have the same schnick. Maybe
the Madman is all about chaos. Maybe he doesn't blood slave it. He makes you do kind of Power of the Taint style, go insane.
Would it be fair to say we cut the head off the snake with dealing with Corypheus?
I think possibly, but there's also the Augur Mystery.
We cut and cauterized one head of the Hydra. There's still 4 other heads of the Hydra.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So your decisions today definitely has lasting effects, because I pretty much gave you the option to take down one of the 5 now, because obviously a price has to be paid to some degree to get him out of the picture, and you could have decided to not make such a sacrifice and just let him flee, which means, yes, there would have been 5 Magister Sidereals to deal with on the final session. But because of your actions, there's now only 4. So, congrats.
Good choice.
Yeah.
And we saw the Black King, so.
Yeah.
Provided Corypheus never gets unsealed again.
Oh, he's 100% getting unsealed.
Oh, yeah. Well, the next question is, does Pasha have any biological children?
Nope.
Nope.
Ooh. Does D'Artagnan have any other children that we know of?
Not that we know of.
Unknown. Maybe he shagged a few people when he all his traveling.
Pasha, maybe stay like a year, maybe 9 months in particular before you head back.
Oh God, just hey Athon, we've made a baby. I'm leaving now. Bye.
Bye.
Our child will be a re-addition to the Cune.
But not my own.
Speaking of Pasha, so for the longest time, I essentially had treated the real Daniel Lento to be dead, because he jumped into his body, and the theoretically speaking, he would have been ejected out and ended up in the Fade and essentially would have been dead. No matter if you guys had transferred or kicked Corypheus out of his body and put him into another body. However, Pasha made a huge leap. Made a huge decision today. Like, she not only kind of sort of cast a magical ritual, but it was kind of sort of a blood magic ritual.
Yeah.
And because she took that leap, risk versus reward, I had to reward her for it. So she pretty much did the only thing that she could have done to have gotten the happy ending with getting Daniel Lento back. That's the only reason Daniel Lento came back, was because of that choice.
But if she ever goes back to the Cune, she gone.
She gone.
Yeah, if she decides to do that.
Combined with the Dragon Chakra stuff, I don't think they're gonna re-educate. They're just gonna
That's gonna be straight up Vidoff bossing on the
Vidoff boss. 100% boss.
Hey, I mean, considering that the Cune views dragons as sacred, Pasha might become a new god if she lands as a dragon. That won't happen. That won't happen. But it might.
It might. Yes.
Until I get told no.
Yes. Saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
But then, that's a great point. You know, we could just come in our dragon form.
Yeah. But actually, it would have been
as a new old god.
I could understand why the whole like Daniel Lento would have been a lie. That would have been fine. Would have been interesting though, and yes, bad if he was still dead. But that would have crushed Pasha so much to the point of.
Mm-hmm.
But part of me feels like Pasha almost prepared herself for that. Yeah. I feel like she had enough warnings that this is probably not going to happen the way you want it to happen. So or was she in denial the whole time, do you think?
I think she had prepared herself for like, okay, he doesn't wake up. So what's our next plan? Well, they said that his soul went into the Fade. So all I have to do is go into the Fade and get him back. And what do you know? We've got a bow that can open up portals to wherever you want.
That's true.
The Fade is right there.
Yeah.
So
Pasha
does not take no for an answer.
And you know how she needs Dandelion to walk up that beach? Yeah. Well, if she just has the corpse, she could just, be like, there.
Oh my god!
Oh god, this alternate timeline where Pasha is insane. She's like the Arakune, but Daniel is her advisor. He's a corpse.
And like
Dandelion invade Tavinta? Yes.
That's gonna be in the end.
And like Daretham, out of pity, animated dead on Dandelion's corpse, so he does walk around on his own.
Oh no!
So, question for Callista that I think will be pretty interesting. And again, this answer can be no, but based on how she was talking today, she's still pretty gung ho about going back to the Cune. That's the ultimate end goal. I'm not asking about the choice or if that's a thing, but is she aware of that she's probably going to lose her children anyway once she's fully wiped and just be given a new batch?
I think Pasha's thinking is that, she has considered, people have, made her think, and, if I stay out here, I get to be me and I get to have all of my memories and all of that. But at the same time, I think she realizes I will spend the rest of my life thinking, but what if I had gone back? What if I could have made changes? What if I could have brought my people forward? And she would regret that for the rest of her days. So I think she's like, I have to try. Even if it will cause me pain and potentially end in my death, I have to at least try. Because trying and dying is better than not trying and then being an old woman being like, I could have done things. Like,
interesting.
So
she's someone who wouldn't be able to let go of her past. She has to address it in some way.
Yeah, I think because Tyrion, when he said, "Are you a tool or are you a human?" I think Pasha's, I am a tool. I am a Tamazran. That is everything I am. And so when you take that away from her, she is just kind of like a blank canvas. She's kind of like, I don't know how to cope. I don't know what to do. And it's like she needs to try.
And I do want
Understandable.
yeah, and I go ahead to Harker. You guys say something?
I said, which eerily sounds very familiar to what Pyrrhus was saying near the end.
Yeah.
That he is a tool. This is what he is, and he's accepted that a long time ago. That's what he is, and so he's like, that's why he's like, I'm a lot like Pasha in many ways.
I was gonna sort of say though, and this is the conversation that Tyrion and Pasha had with that whole line. I did find interesting about when I said to her, we are both the same because we both have an obsession of sorts, and if we want to like sort of repair whatever we've done, because you want to go back and repair, or try to go back to the Cune to do what you want to do back there, and then Tyrion's like, I won't go back to the Winter to stop the shit that I started for the chaos I caused. So I did think like, yeah, Tyrion and Pasha are very much more similar now ever since the whole chaotic thing happened. So that was a very cool conversation and line to go with. So.
Oh, question for radio. Considering that Pasha's blood is now the only thing keeping Corypheus locked up and from causing any harm, if Pasha were to make it clear to the Black King that she is going to go back to the Kunari, who are known for completely wiping people's memories, not allowing them to have children or families beyond like the setup, and basically just erasing someone's identity, causing the lock to be broken essentially on Corypheus' prison, would the Black King allow Pasha to do that?
Well, thing is, because remember, it took Hawk's, well, involved in DA2, it took Hawk's blood for the key to be used on his blood in order to unlock the key. Basically, if Pasha has no wipe a memory of descendants, is not allowed to bear children, I think he's okay with that as long as she doesn't go well, she can go near Fortuna, she just can't go near the vault where Corypheus currently lies.
Keep in mind, though, that the seal that was locking Corypheus up in the game, I think the implication is it needs to be reapplied over time. So it's not permanent, it wears off over time, which is why they asked Daddy Hawk to come back.
Yeah, it was like one generation that it kind of diffused over.
So
Daddy Hawk needed to come back to reseal him again.
So pretty much
And-
Pasha going back to the Cune inevitably guarantees that Corypheus will reawake.
No matter what, yeah.
If another person of D'Artagnan's blood doesn't reapply it a generation or so later. In theory, that's the case.
Yeah.
Unless D'Artagnan had other children.
There's also
Again,
the question
that we
of
don't know.
if the Cune kills Pasha, is the blood of D'Artagnan also require? Does someone have to be alive with the blood of D'Artagnan in order to keep the seal going?
I don't think that's the case.
No? Okay.
Because that doesn't seem to be the case in the game.
Sure.
Because Malcolm Hawk died, and I think that had nothing to. Corypheus didn't suddenly get freed because Malcolm Hawk died.
No.
He didn't really pop on the vault. Ah, yes, he's dead. Let me go out and yeah, he just.
Well, thing is, like, obviously, since there's going to be Awakened Darkspawn again, 40 fleets of them are going to be guarding that vault. Corypheus is going to have a very hard time getting through all that.
Being in a dwarf too, which even if he does get his magic, it's probably going to be severely limited because he's in a dwarf.
Yeah.
No, it's only gonna work till he gets one other body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
if he how do I kill myself?
I mean, if they
He
kill
could
him,
just commit suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can commit suicide, hops another tainted body, and there we go. We'll just.
Probably the next best thing that they'll probably end up doing, if he does end up breaking free, they'll probably like try and like freeze him, cryogenically freeze him as another form of imprisonment, and just like reapply that every.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really wanted to, like, you could basically unseal him and then just blow up in his face.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you essentially could just do that if you really. You still have the lyrium bomb, so.
True. Or basically, they come up with another method of basically allowing the lyrium. Because does he have the red lyrium in this scenario?
Currently, no. He does not, currently.
Oh, I was going to say, basically, how about we just imprison him in actual Illyrium crystal? Like how Attack on Titan did. But with Leonard.
Well,
Just in case
also-
him.
In case, like Adrian case, I'm nice to put him in a vault where he can literally not blow it open. Like he's just stuck there as a prisoner.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, he could
Yeah.
commit suicide, but yeah.
Well, also now that he's sealed, you could easily construct a new bomb right in him, and then when you're ready, just remotely detonate it. You know, where
That's true.
everyone's fine, and you know it's just a safely disposal.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I
Yeah.
think somewhere in the fleets there are going to be some major traps that are going to be Lyrian based that are going to cause a bit of harm to him. So I think the Black King is pretty much thinking steps ahead. For once.
Well, I do hope we, as our party, will be able to find a more permanent solution, possibly to eliminate
At least the other four, yeah.
at least the other four, yeah, and then we can just say, okay, here you go, pull up, here's your weapon, kill him, he's gone.
Mass killing curse, mass killing curse, mass killing curse.
heyo.
Out of curiosity, some mechanic stuff. How hurt was everyone at the end of that fight?
I was pretty bad. Like
I
I
got
got dropped from 126 down to like 54.
Oof.
200 down to 133. So I got badly scathed, but no.
I went from 88 to 39 due to like one hemorrhage, and I think it was a dragon claw.
Mm.
No, it was an ice bomb, something like that. So
I dropped from 123 down to 69, and then I gave 30 points of health to Leon and his blood shenanigans. So
Nice.
I was down from 119 to 23. So not enough to do anything.
I actually, I think, got down the lowest, and I started off bad because I had 60 or 70 because of the last fight.
Yeah,
and I
you
got
already
down,
pretty hurt from when
Yeah,
Corin stabbed you.
and I got down to 19 at the end of that.
yeah,
So
We all survived.
we somehow did.
Wait a minute, it's turned lowest health.
That was probably like the closest we've gotten to TPK in the game.
Yeah,
so far.
that was the deadliest fight by far, definitely.
Man, it would have been interesting if I got blood slave, because that would have been very easy to do it.
Well, I was getting worried when we were getting stacked to like 4 or 5 people. Blood.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was pretty much at that point. Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
got to 4, but at some point we got to 4 blood slaves, and then it was just hemorrhaging us a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
You needed Leon and Aaron to diffuse that, to dissolve that, and you also needed someone like Nathan to just
No.
nope.
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay,
Aaron
what
became
is
a
Nathan's
Templar because he
self-discipline?
was a Grey Warden in season 2. When did Aaron become a Templar? Because he was a Grey Warden in season 2.
Was he a Grey Warden? I
Yeah.
thought he was a Templar.
Yeah, he was a great warden. Yeah.
He started off okay. He started off as a Templar because he first met Cedric as a Templar. So he still has probably some of his Templar abilities, I think.
Okay.
Alistair style.
Because I remembered him that he started off as a Templar and then he turned into a Grey Warden.
Real quick, what is Nathan's self-discipline? I'm curious.
I think it's a +9 actually.
Wow.
I think it's a +9. It's really high.
High willpower.
Yeah, he was built for high willpower.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm actually
Again,
gonna get
being
close to him.
Maximilian's son, it makes
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes
hell
total
yeah.
sense.
One thing I will say, Tyrion, if Tathan happens, I want to have a first row seat to you having have the chat with David here.
Hello there, sir. Hello, King Maximilian. Yes, I am
King
very
Maximilian's
good
like-
with your son. Oh shit!
So you're a murderer from Tevinter who caused a slave revolt.
Yes.
Is that so?
It's
Yeah, even if nothing romantic ever happens between the two, I see them being domestic partners, like domestic partners living in the same.
I'll be honest. I would see them as good friends. I would see them as friends at this stage. I mean, yeah, he's done a bad shit, but I think he did help Nathan there. Like, yeah, I mean, we all do mistakes. We all got moral issues, and yeah. So
speaking of Tyrion, I know I'm jumping a little bit of ahead, but I do want to know, what do you think Tyrion is intending to using? What do you think Tyrion's intending on doing with the information that he gets at the tail end of that session, when he overheard the conversation with Darren and Daniel?
I mean, to be honest, he's for now going to keep it a secret because it's, yeah. If we're gonna tell Leon like, hey, look, no, they lied. Your parents actually did it. I think that's just gonna destroy him, and he's gonna bring a lot of conflict with Leon. And Tyrion experienced the conflict when he murdered Amren. So it's like, I think for now I'll keep this until he is. If there's a time when I feel he's ready, maybe, and if he asks me or whatever. But,
so do you think that Daniel did do the lesser of the two evils?
I think yes, he did do the lesser of two evils.
The lesser of the two evils.
Because I think it would have destroyed Leon, essentially made Leon like me when I did what I did back in 2 sessions ago.
Even though Leon said that what Daniel did made things worse.
I think either way it would have made it worse.
Yeah, it would have made worse. Yeah, like.
So you're saying it probably would have been better if Daniel never said anything to him at all?
Probably.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah! Like, 'cause if you don't say anything, that's good. But because you're not gonna be revealed. Like, silence is better than saying. I learned that well enough.
Schrodinger's parents, they both did and did not start the fight. Yeah.
But like I said, it's just if I would just tell him, look, this is what happened. Actually, I have a feeling Leon will just, like I said, be destroyed, and will be traumatized. And I think he might dip more into blood magic, which Tyrion and of course everyone, like, at least for Tyrion, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want him to go down a dark path because his parents, weren't what he says as. And we saw what happened in Kirkwall. Anyway, but interesting information still.
Oh, so going on a tangent real quick. It was so funny that the Black King was just like, "Yeah, you're pardoned." Okay.
I'll beat you up when you get back.
Yeah, I'll beat you up later. I can't be arsed right now. I've just had a big, massive fight. I'm exhausted. Good night.
It's so funny because it was just like Darthan was expecting this, like, okay, you're gonna have to do like some sort of sentence, maybe like be in service for the Darkstreet, do this, explore some tigers, act as a guinea pig, get basically like semi-imprisoned, and then the Black King is just like, nah, whatever.
I could not give a single shit.
I guess you're a good guy now.
Dartham's brain was just like, does not compute. That does not compute.
No, now what you did is he pardoned you, but you didn't pardon yourself. So now you're going to have to do more community service, thinking like, this stuff. It's like the price is what you think it is. They're not telling you the price, so you like either put way too much in and you put way too little in. So
that's actually a good point. He probably is going to try to be even more helpful after that. Just like,
Gotta say, I loved the whole thing with Bomb, where he immediately felt like the instant regret when he couldn't control himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed that scene with Dartham and Bomb a lot.
That was really awesome.
It was a great scene.
It was kind of a case where Dartham knows exactly what Bomb is feeling, because it's exactly what Dartham felt when he woke up.
Well, that, and it's got to be extra traumatizing for Bomb, because he was enslaved just as long as you throughout all the blights and everything, and had lived freed, came to terms with it, then had it happen again right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, Derek, you saw a few other people who had regrets and all that. I mean, that was the last session, so with Tyrion, I mean,
yeah,
a couple of sessions before that with other players. So, it's like, yeah, I've seen this shit long enough. I know what you're going through, but
yeah, and it was just a case where Dartham doesn't have words of comfort. He doesn't have he's not going to say it's going to be okay or it's totally fine. It's just, I'm here for you and you're my friend, and I'm not going to think for you, but you're certainly not like worthless.
I'd say that's probably more impactful than just making something up to try to make someone feel better in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, that's how I would see it. Like, even the chat that Russo had with Leon, like, I'm not going to tell you to get over it because you can't. This is just a thing you're going to have to learn about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also nice having the two characters, sort of go through the whole identity of, who are you and what do you want to be. Yeah. And also, Russo still has to have the hard talk about, yo, you did blood magic. Forbidden this.
We
Yeah,
talked about this, Leon.
Leon did a lot of blood magic this session. What's going through his head?
There was a ton of blood magic. Well, some of it was involuntary, and then some of it was, I'm going to fight fire with fire.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we really did need the blood magic against Corypheus. We all would have died.
Yeah, we all would have been.
We would have died.
We almost died.
Would Pasha have recognized that too, or no?
I don't know if she would have recognized it during the fight, just because so much
was happening.
But people started attacking each other. The thing bombed. I'm like, nah, he was being controlled. Bomb wouldn't do that. That was some, awful crap. So I think she could understand that blood magic happened at some point during this, but I don't think she'd be like, and then he casts that, and then he casts, it's...
Yeah, it's too much.
But does Pasha have any understanding that Leon had to use blood magic to prevent the team from wiping out? I don't know if she understood that.
I don't think that Pasha is suddenly okay with blood magic. As I said, she's a hypocrite. It's like, will this save my child? I'm going to do it. And even if 2 days later I'm like, Leon, you shouldn't be doing blood magic. That is awful. She may do that. She may say that, but it's... I think she understands and she doesn't understand. I think verbally she's like, how could you? You shouldn't have been doing that. That was terrible. But at the same time, she's like, well, I'm glad to be alive.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, real quick, what was like the confessional in Pasha's mind as Darathan was kind of saying to her, the only way to guaranteed to save Dandelion is to use blood magic? What was going through her head when he said that?
I think just horror. Like, I'm betraying my morals here, and it doesn't feel good. At the same time, I've spent all these years, blood and sweat and tears looking for this kid. What's a little more blood? It's just this, and maybe I get him back. So,
question. Would that have still been a fair consideration had you not seen blood magic from Leon and everything else, so you wouldn't be guaranteed a full wipe going back? Would that have made Pasha pause?
I think that might have. I think the fact that it's like, well, I'm already in trouble. I might as well just go the whole hog now. Like, I'm gonna get wiped. So, I mean, her blood had already been used in a blood magic ritual.
Involuntarily, but...
Right, involuntarily.
Guy. So it's...
Yes, Athias.
I think she did kind of think, in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm in trouble as it is. It gets him back, and he's my child, and I'll take the punishment.
20 years, an obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Pasha would ever say she wasn't obsessed with getting Dandelion back.
Oh yeah.
I think she's been very dogged about that, but I think she has always acknowledged that I maybe shouldn't be doing this. I think maybe in the very early years, she was like, no, this is necessary, But I think in later years, specifically like the time she's been traveling with the group, I think there have been times when she's kind of thought, maybe I should have gotten therapy. Maybe I should have gotten that therapy, and maybe I should have listened to Azra, and maybe I'd still be with my previous best friend, but I'm not. I've made these choices, so I'm going to continue.
So we know in her mind that currently Pasha's leaning towards going back to Saharon after all this is done and over, because she wants to be there for her children. So what does she think? Maybe she's not thinking about this. What does she think that in doing so, she's abandoning the children she already has out here? What does she think about that?
I think she's very sad about, Daniel and Corin and Rousseau. But I think her main thing is like, I have 3 children out here. I have 40-something over there.
So it's math at the moment, yes.
It's, do I put the needs of the few over the needs of the many? And her thinking is that, like, well, I could have countless more children in the future in Saharan, so then I'm also punishing future children by not going back. So I think she wants to try, and I think that might be clouding the Rousseau's cold, hard logic of, you're going to get wiped. You're not going to remember this. You're not going to see those kids again. What does it matter if you can't remember that? And I think that, how do I want to word this? I think it's basically just what I said before. Pasha is Tamazran. And that is a mantle that I don't think she could necessarily live without. Yeah.
But does she necessarily need the Cune to have that mantle?
I think in her mind she does.
Because, I mean, theoretically, like, she could go somewhere else, like, be a matron of an orphanage and have those children again and be a Tamazran. Heck, maybe even start a new divination of the Cune.
True.
Interesting. That's interesting.
She could. But then here's an interesting question I have, at least from Tyrion's perspective. Now that, like, you heard Tyrion what he might do when he goes back to the Winter, does that spare Pasha to the sort of summer to go to the Cune for the actions that she did, or what happened around here still?
I don't think it has any effect on like, her big thing is like, Tyrion committed a crime. Tyrion should be punished for that crime. I did blood magic. I should be punished for doing blood magic.
But the question is, would it solidify like that theory that you would go back to Cune no matter what?
Yes, but not in the way you're thinking.
Yeah.
Her thinking is that this sound awful. I'm sorry. Sorry, Skull.
No worries.
Basically, she looks at the world, and the Cune says that the world is disordered and chaos, and that it cannot function, and all of this. And she goes out into the rest of the world, and it does function. I see things of genius and things of beauty, these things that should not exist by my doctrine, by my philosophy. And then people like Tyrion come along who can't control themselves, who prove that this is why we need the Cune, because people will just murder each other in the streets because they get overly emotional. So she's like, thank you, Tyrion, for solidifying my thought process.
Yep.
So, I mean, is that just like a universal doctrine? Is that because some people are bad, we may as well just give up on the whole boat? Because, to be fair, the very next session, she saw Rousseau give up on revenge entirely for someone that he had absolutely right to just give full emotion to.
I think the thing about Pasha is that the Cune says every non-Cunari is Bus. But Pasha doesn't necessarily agree with that. She's like, no, I will wait to see if they are Bus. So Rousseau is not Bus. Rousseau has proven that he has, all of these wonderful qualities about him. He is intelligent. And I think he is loyal, and the care he shows for Balin is, you know, wonderful. So he is not Buzz. He shows restraint and all of that. And it's... I don't necessarily think I have the words to explain what is in my head, so that's why I'm kind of like, I don't necessarily think that she's like, oh, well, I should just give up on the outside. Well, I think her main thing is that I want my society to improve. I want them to evolve. And if I just wash my hands of it, then they're never going to get better. And it may kill me. It may come to nothing. I may do this and I get murdered and it was all for nothing, but at least I tried.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime, I'll just have the thought in the back of my head that Pasha starts up a new unorthodox Cune. So, are you orthodox or unorthodox Cune? But anyway.
I mean, realistically, if Pasha was going to reform the Cune, that'd probably be the only way you could on paper.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, go back to the Cune, it's you're wiped, you're put back into the cogs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, question, how do the Cunes feel about the old gods? Because the old gods made blood magic, but they're also dragons, and the Cune like dragons.
As far as I'm aware, there's no law on that to say that on the Kunari's opinion of the old gods. I know that they tend to err on the side of, well, that wasn't a god. That was clearly a very powerful demon that tricked you. So it's like Solus says in Inquisition, that if you told the Kunari that you had met Mythal, they would have said you would have been tricked by a powerful demon, and that wasn't really her. So it's a bit iffy.
Refusal to believe, and like,
Yeah.
Because you could have, if they still like them, you could have used that logic to fight back, saying, hey, I'm part dragon, so maybe don't wipe me.
I guess it's just plausible deniability to the extreme. Essentially, it's like, what proof do you have that they're a god, so why should I believe you?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
it's also to consider that Pasha is, though Kunari, she is a human in terms of biologically. And if a human comes back to the Kunari, even if they are Kunari, and says, hey, I'm like half dragon, so I'm like, a herald of the gods or whatever, then the Kunari are going to be like, we don't like that. It's kind of like saying your humans are better than us, maybe. We don't like that very much, so we're going to just disbelieve you because you're a human.
Yeah,
Which
they could say that.
could happen that way.
Well, then what about Rousseau? Because he looks Kunari, except for, the elven part, but,
Taints his blood, so it can't work.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that would help would be as if they brought the info that he was a scaled one back, but even then, I feel like Dom's argument's better.
There was one thing. Was my theory right on how we do the crossover? Like, obviously we did the crossover this way with the flashing, but was the Black King blows himself up and then uses the bow to teleport us to Harry Potter? Was my theory on that correct? On what would have happened if that scenario went?
No.
Oh no. Okay.
Way off.
All right. Yes, Klausa shot.
But it's a theory. It's a theory.
Gary.
I mean, they could have also used that one, the big word where we had all our names jumbled up together.
Oh, what was that? Tyrann,
Anthem Paso.
Tosha, something like that.
Oh yeah, they cast that spell.
Beyond them Sosha. There we go.
Thank you, Radio, for joining us today for this many hours. Hopefully you had a lot of fun, and hopefully the viewers also had fun watching the Black King in action. And next time we're gonna have 4 guests. 4 guests to contend with. So things are gonna turn up very quickly. So we'll see you guys then.